Welcome to Horse Talk. And you will not believe what someone just wrote to me in the comments on Instagram. It was regarding the video with the horse with the chain over the horse's nose, saying stuff like, this is not something we need to do with horses. It's actually going to just make the horse worse. And I'm going to read the comment to you. It says here, tells me you know next to nothing about race horses and or studs, and that you give a damn about safety for innocent bystanders without telling me. And I read this and I'm like, oh my god, this person needs help, because putting a chain over your horse's nose in an attempt to control the horse is not gonna work. It's only going to make things worse. And I'm gonna try to explain why. Because if we start pressuring the horse to comply by us and we keep a tight lead rope like this to keep everyone, bystanders, safe, then of course we are inflicting pain on the horse, which is going to make the horse even more upset and also even more likely to kick out and bite and try to pull away. Because by inflicting pain on the horse wants to leave and becomes even more stressed. If the horse is anxious or if the horse is stubborn, the horse might even become even more stubborn. But what happens when people notice this behavior in their horse, they tend to then apply even more pressure. And then they sometimes even put the chain, underneath the lips of the horse to inflict even more pain. And it's only going to make the horse worse, and until you basically don't have any means left of trying to control this horse. And it doesn't matter if it's a stud horse or if it's a racing horse. And I think this comment is very rude, because she says that you know next to nothing about race horses or studs. And I have retrained several race horses, and I also have members who retrain off the track horses. And you are not gonna succeed with that by putting chains over their noses and inflicting pain on them. On the contrary, you succeed by basically not doing it. And by not doing this, especially if a horse is used to this type of handling, you get very, very instant and very fast results. So I'm not sure how anybody can, assume that I know nothing about this. If I knew nothing about it, I would probably not post about it and try to help people succeed with leading their horses, even if they are race horses or if they are studs. And regarding the studs, I have had several studs. I have studs here every summer, by the way. But at the most, we had 7 stallions, which is a lot. But it wasn't only my stallions, we also had stallions for others. So we have only had 1 stallion because we used to breed horses. And at the time he was a young stallion, I was basically either pregnant or I had a little baby somewhere on my back or attached to my tummy. So obviously I could not manhandle this stallion in an attempt of making him comply. It wasn't possible. And I also found with these stallions that the more you manhandle them and annoy them, the more aggressive they become. But on the other hand, stallions are very, very grateful for someone leading the way and someone they can follow. So that's at least how I handled my stallion and the stallions we had on whole year stabling. Yes. So I think this comes from somehow that stallions, when they are out in the herd and together with the mares and stuff like that, they are always in some kind of responsibility and always kind of the leader. Although the mares usually are the ones who actually decide stuff, the stallion is very busy moving mares around and, doing his stuff. So they actually become very grateful when they have someone they can follow, so that they don't have to be the leader all the time. But if we start manhandling them and fighting them, they of course have testosterone and hormones, and especially if we then try to fight them over a mare or whatever, they can more easily act up than, for instance, a gelding. So, at least in my experience, inflicting pain on stallions while leading them and bumping the rope or putting chains over their noses, and especially, doing stuff on their front part, tends to annoy the heck out of them, which makes them, act out even more. But by simply taking the guard and leading the way, you have a friend for life in the stallion who will instantly calm down and find peace together with you, because you become some kind of safe haven where he doesn't need to be, focusing on all the mares and taking all this responsibility. And it's almost like hitting a button. Once you have established that kind of connection with the stallion, that stallion is going to be very grateful to be together with you and to have some time off being a stallion. Yes. So let me know in the comments below what you think, because I obviously think that this person needs help, because if we use chains and pressure in an attempt to either retrain off the track horses or when handling stallions, we are going to very quickly get into trouble. But if we have another way of doing this, by connecting with the horse and, leading the way and allowing the horse to follow, and we have established that relationship with the horse, these horses calm down very quickly and actually have huge transformations in a very, very short amount of time, just from the way we are leading them. So let me know in the comments below what you think. I basically think that this is one of the maybe most common horsemanship mistakes, that we think that when a horse is acting up, or if a horse is a stallion, or if a horse is a racehorse, then we need to use chains and pressure to control them, because that's the only way to do it, because they are racehorses or stallions or whatever, which in the other end makes them often act up even more, which then, becomes almost like a reinforcement for then adding more chains and putting the chains under the horse's lips or whatever. So instead of then establishing a relationship with the horse, we tend to then just use more pressure. And then we can end up in very dangerous situations. So let me know in the comments if you have experienced this too. I have so many examples of this. Also, the mare we got in training a couple of years ago, she came with a chain over her nose, and she was impossible to lead because she was running people down and whatnot. I would not be able to transform this mare and retrain her to become soft and easy to lead by using the same equipment she came with. So instead of then using the chain, I used a long lead rope and a flag, and I got some distance. I moved her feet a little bit, and I built this connection that eventually made her follow at liberty from self and responding to my body language of a distance. But we don't solve this by going closer to the horse and putting pressure on them. We actually solve it by getting a distance to the horse and start communicating with them through our actions and our body language. And that's what connection exercise is about, which also was, I think, a call to action in this particular video. So if you want to learn how to connect with your horse through leading, then you can comment yes below and you get instant access to the connection exercise, which is where I start, and also the hundreds of Ride Like a Viking members start. Even if they have a stallion and even if they have an off-the-track racing horse. And especially, if they have a stallion or an off-the-track racing horse, because this way of leading horses, it changes everything. And it's something we can do when we are leading the horse to and from the paddock, and when we are basically handling the horse in everyday life, because horses, they are always learning. Even though we are not teaching them something, they always learn. Hello, Eva, so nice to see you here. Yes, love what you say and do. Yes, this is, it's a huge knowledge gap among equestrians when it comes to applying pressure and using manhandling as a way of solving problems. And I think that's why the equestrian sport is now considered the most dangerous sport of all. It's because we basically haven't taken into account that horses are flight animals with the need of a way out. And it appears that the more the horse is acting up, the more we constrict them, which then makes the horse act up even more. And anxiety builds up in the horses, which they then suddenly explode, or they basically refuse to listen. But most horses actually comply with this way too well. So if you have a horse that is difficult in any kind of way, consider it a huge gift and a sign from the universe that you are basically now chose now to learn something not everybody else knows, that is going to transform the way you train and handle horses. Actually, don't see it as a sign that you need to buy chains or other means of basically trying to control the horse with more and more pain, because that is not safe. It's actually dangerous, even for the innocent bystanders. Yes. Okay, so if you want to get started with your horse and not rely on chains or treats for that matter, then comment yes below and you will get instant access to the connection exercise, which allows you to lead your horse through connection and not pressure. And I will probably also share the link down in the comments below, so you can get started with your horse. Okay, thank you so much for joining this evening, and see you next time. Bye for now.